Hey guys, this is the Mind of Lilith, and thank you for joining me today. I'm going to be sharing my thoughts about how Neptune has affected Arionne and Martell's relationship. This is part one of a two-part discussion where I will be examining things from Arionne's perspective in this part, and the next part I'll examine things from Martell's perspective. I've been receiving requests to address the dynamics of Arionne and Martell's relationship through an astrological lens, and I've been meaning to do this for a while, but other things have come up and I haven't had the time to take a deep dive into the dynamics of their relationship. So first, I want to talk about things that have changed on the website really quickly. Over the past week or so, about 2 weeks, I've been updating the site, dealing with retrograde issues in my 11th and 10th houses. So that's broken technology, broken websites, phones, computers, etc. And it affected my ability to conduct business, the 10th house. I have taken the downtime to simplify the order form for the astrology and tarot readings, which are now available at a flat rate. I've decided to do this because it will literally take 4 hours on average post-production to upload videos to YouTube for my clients, which is not sustainable or scalable. And I did not like delivering my orders late. So the readings are shorter, but they're more targeted specifically to your questions, which I believe is more helpful. Also, I've integrated a community forum on the site so that I can answer your questions about any topic, and this helps me to streamline the communication between myself and you all. You have to register to join the forum, but it's free and you can join whenever you feel like it. I'll be more responsive on the forum than I am on IG or my emails. Okay, so in my opinion, Neptune has had a significant impact on the relationship between Martell and Arionne, and is just as significant as the other outer planets, Pluto and Uranus. In astrology, Neptune is a watery planet. It's the ruler of the invisible empire, meaning the ruler of dreams, fantasies, illusions, self-deception, self-destruction, addiction, and what the mind imagines but has yet to manifest in the 3D. It is also the ruler of the world's oceans, which have lots of hidden life forms and even civilizations that are inaccessible to land animals. So water is a soluble element, and it dissolves, disintegrates, and transforms things slowly and imperceptibly. And this essentially is how Neptune operates, by changing circumstances and people slowly over a long period of time. The Neptunian cycle is 14 years, as opposed to Uranus, which is 7 years, and Saturn is 2.5 years. 14 years is a long time. It's half of a Saturn cycle, okay, which is 28 years. So why is Neptune important in Martell and Arionne's relationship? Well, Arionne was born on August 27th, 1990. And at the time of her birth, Neptune was in Capricorn. Her sun is in Virgo and her moon is in Scorpio. I don't know her ascendant, so I'm doing this analysis based on her sun sign. Arionne was born during the conjunction of Neptune, Saturn, and Uranus in the sign of Capricorn. So Arionne's Neptune is in her 5th house of love, romance, relationships, and children, along with Uranus and Saturn. Yikes. Okay? This manifests as secret relationships, illicit affairs, unequal partnerships, relationships based on deception, self-deception and illusion, and relationships where a huge sacrifice is made for nothing because the other person is unappreciative and unaware of these gestures of love made by the Neptunian person. So learning how to love yourself is the karmic lesson for Neptune in the 5th house. This is also an aspect of unrequited love, where one person believes a relationship is more than what it actually is due to their own projections based on their fantasies, dreams, and illusions, which have been cultivated by experiences of feeling unloved, of unworthy, invisible, and helpless to forge one's own path and manifest, our own destiny. In other words, Neptune is a manifestation of our deepest, most hidden desires that have been shaped by secret, unhealed trauma, that has created a fog in our consciousness as it relates to whatever house Neptune is positioned in. These desires are projected onto other people, but never openly expressed because we may innately feel unworthy of having them fulfilled because of the trauma. So this Neptunian fog can only be evaporated through illumination, honesty, courage, and information. In other words, we need to be able to tell the truth about our hidden fears, our hidden trauma, pain, and fantasies and desires in order to take control of Neptune instead of having it control us. And I'm going to discuss that further at another time. So with Neptune in the fifth, it's almost like saying, why should I ask for anything? I don't deserve anything. I don't deserve to be a wife. I don't deserve to be a girlfriend. So I'm not going to expect it. I'm not going to ask for it. But I'm going to keep giving to the other person as if they are that to me. I'm going to keep giving to a man who treats me like a side piece, but I'm going to treat him like he's a husband, because I'm hoping that by me treating him as a husband, he will automatically see me as a wife. But I can't ask for that directly because I don't feel like I deserve it. So I'll act like I don't want it. That's kind of what Arionne has been doing. Okay. So Arionne has Neptune in Capricorn within a 1-degree orb of Martell's sun in Capricorn. Arionne will always have a difficult time seeing Martell for who he really is because he is a physical manifestation of all of her deepest dreams, fantasies, and desires. Not just physically, but the fact that Martell was married played into the fantasy and made Arionne more attracted to him. People have stated that Arionne is the product of an extramarital affair, but her father chose to stay with his wife, or he did not settle down with Arionne's mother. So Arionne did not grow up with her father, and this may have cultivated a deep desire within her to be chosen by a married man, which she subconsciously associates with being chosen by her absent father. This is further indicated by Arionne's Saturn being in conjunction with Neptune within a 5-degree orb. In astrology, Saturn represents the father, but it is also a planet of restriction, blocks, obstacles, delays, and necessary sacrifices. As a side note, Melody is going through something similar, but it's manifesting differently in her life because her Saturn is on her Sun conjunct the South Node. So anyway, as a Capricorn, Martell energetically represents the father, the patriarch, the ruler. He's also a symbolic expression of masculinity and power that one would use to protect their kingdom. And this made Arionne submit to Martell by default because she wishes that she could have submitted to her father in the same way, not sexually, but as, in the way that a daughter would look to her father for guidance, protection, provision, support, and love, and so on. So the unconditional love that Arionne is given to Martell is an expression of the unconditional love that she has for her father, or that she wishes her father could have given to her. Arionne believes that by doing this to Martell, by giving to Martell in this way, that he will reciprocate. And Neptune will show you, no, the hell they won't, because nobody asked you to do that. You chose to do that based on your own trauma. So Martell didn't ask Arionne to have a baby. She chose to have this baby and to be loyal to him, to feel worthy within herself. But anyway, because Neptune is involved in a stressful aspect, which is the conjunction, right, to Martell's Sun, there's a lack of clarity. And there's an element of delusion and self-deception, especially since Martell's Mercury is conjunct Arionne's Neptune as well. So Arionne had a difficult time truly understanding and comprehending Martell's intentions and motivations because his actions and communication were confusing, inconsistent, and deceptive. Arionne's Neptune is square Martell's Mars, the planet of action. So this is misinterpreting one's behavior. This is passive-aggressive behavior. This is someone who doesn't feel confident in asking for what they want because they don't feel like they deserve it in the first place, okay? So Arionne had a difficult time understanding Martell's intentions, and she filled in the blanks with her secret desires for a man who was willing to leave his wife to raise her. This is classical projection. Melody was a representation of the woman her father chose over her mother, hence the vicious, unwarranted attacks against a woman who had done nothing but be the wife of a man she felt entitled to, but did not feel confident enough or did not love herself enough to treat herself better and expect more from him. In my opinion, The revelations of Neptune are the most excruciating because they almost never deal with how others have betrayed us, but rather how we have betrayed ourselves for other people with little to no reward and usually with difficult karmic debt to repay for disrespecting ourselves by throwing ourselves away in the first place. Again, Neptune in the 5th and the 7th is about learning how to love yourself first. And this brings me to the transit of Neptune in Pisces from 2011 to 2025, which is opposing Arionne's sun, which would place it in her 7th house of partnerships and open enemies. This transit has forced Arionne to learn how to love herself by first losing herself, which Neptune also requires, okay? Neptune deals with dissolving the boundaries between the self, the identity, and other people to merge with others as an expression of God's unifying and universal love. However, in people who are vibrating at a lower frequency, this lack of individuation leads to self-destructive thoughts, habits, and behaviors, as we saw with Arionne and Martell. Arionne has had several abortions for deceptive, womanizing, broke married man, and has been equally blamed for her role in destroying a marriage when Martell was the one who was largely responsible for how things transpired. So, since 2011, Arionne has had strange, transitory, unstable, confusing relationships with friends and lovers, and she is currently going through a period of isolation and healing as Neptune ingresses towards Aries. So during this 14-year transit, her identity is being transformed by this very painful experience with Martell. And she's learning to love herself to avoid getting ensnared in this kind of relationship again. By 2025, Arionne should have complete clarity about her situation with Martell, her role in the relationship, why she allowed herself to be used and discarded like trash, and why she wanted to be chosen by a married man, even if it meant destroying a family. Well, why would she care about that? Because she never had the chance to have a traditional family due to her father's obligations to another family. So Arionne again was living through the trauma of being denied something because someone else was considered more deserving. Hence the way Martell refuses to claim Arionne because he still wants to be with Melody. So why has Arionne been so loyal to Martell? And Martell and Arionne's chart, there are several strong aspects to Pluto, Venus, Mars, and the nodes that reveal why, but because I'm focused on Neptune in this discussion, I'll talk about it from Neptune's point of view. Okay, so Neptune will literally have you attached to a person until they destroy you. Because again, this plays into the self-sacrificing, self-sabotaging expressions of the 12th house. Neptune transits will have you ruin your life for someone who wouldn't even spit on you if you were on fire, because you have a false belief that if you give everything you have to a person, then they'll see your value. But the problem is, if you knew your own value, you wouldn't be giving your all to anybody in the first place, whether you love them or not. Remember, self-preservation is the first law of nature, and if anyone is asking you to sacrifice too much of yourself for them, then they damn sure don't love you and won't appreciate anything you do for them anyway. Otherwise, they wouldn't ask for you to do these things in the first place. A few months ago, I talked about how Martell walked all over Arionne's boundaries. He treated her like a piece of meat, and he treated her like an object to be used for his sexual gratification at the expense of her mental and emotional health. That is also Neptune, allowing your essence to be devoured by another person. Neptunian people attract a lot of narcissists, or they become narcissistic themselves, and I'll discuss that in the future. Martell did not respect or value Arionne enough to look out for her, especially since he knew he had no intentions of leaving his wife for her, or even making her an honest woman. He allowed himself to get her pregnant several times. He let her drop out of school. He let her get emotionally entangled in a situation where he knew he would not be able to live up to her expectations, right? So when Arionne tried to leave the painful relationship with Martell, he would chase her down, demanding that she allowed herself to be absorbed by him, which she confused with love, because again, her broken Neptune told her she was worthless unless someone was using her for sex or attention, which in some instances indicates sexual abuse. I'm not saying it happened to her, but I wouldn't be surprised with Neptune in the 5th house, okay? So Martell's Mars in Libra is square Arionne's Neptune. Martell's desires ultimately consumed Arionne to the point where she could not even fight back, or she didn't have the strength in her mind or the self-love to protect herself from being used by a man who didn't really want to be with her like that. He just wanted to use her for sex, right? And she was confused about this because, again, she had a lot of unhealed trauma. She has to go through extensive therapy, not just a psychiatric treatment for her mood swings, but also she needs to talk through her experiences and her trauma to be able to illuminate them, right? Bring them out into the light, to examine them, identify them, and hopefully heal these deep wounds of worthlessness within her. Arionne kept talking about the fact that she didn't want to marry Martell. They never had a conversation about it. She didn't want to be with him like that anyway. That is a bold-faced lie. You don't have a baby by a man you're not interested in being with long term, most of the time. You don't have a baby by a man, or you're not loyal to a man for 7 years with no intention of having a committed relationship. You've already been committed to him for 7 years. But Arionne feels like she didn't deserve to ask for what she wanted, which was to be in an exclusive relationship with Martell, right? So she never asked. She just gave and gave and gave and hoped that Martell would return the favor. But Arionne giving to Martell unconditionally was her projecting onto him what she wanted for herself. She wanted someone to love her unconditionally, to be ride or die for him, for her, to protect her, to love her, to cherish her. Her father didn't give her that, in my opinion. If she's looking to a man in Martell to give that to her, he may have been in her life, but there was something missing, especially with Saturn conjunct Neptune in the same house for Arionne. So Martell represented her missing father. And I don't think he understood this, but he took advantage of her naivete. He took advantage of her brokenness. He took advantage of the fact that she was willing to do anything for him to prove her worth to him. But again, the most painful thing about Neptune is that you will come to realize, if it's in your 7th or 5th house and it's negatively aspected, that no matter what you do to a person, what you give to a person, how much you give of yourself, how much you sacrifice yourself for somebody, they're not obligated to do the same for you. Especially if you never had that as a requirement in the first place. What was Arionne's requirement for Martell? What did she demand of him? He got to stay married. He got to use her body when he wanted to. He got to play her like she was a peasant, a nothing. What standards did she have for Martell? What was the criteria for their engagement? So because she didn't have any standards or rules for him, he got to do whatever he wanted with her. And that is because of her lack of boundaries, again, which she thought would make him love her more, would make him endear her more, be more endeared to her. We see with Melody. Melody has very strong boundaries. Yes, she's taken a lot of abuse from Martell, but she's fought throughout the whole way to affirm her identity and to ensure that Martell did not strip her of her value. Melody fought tooth and nail. She left Martell, and now look, Martell wants Melody more than he wants Arionne, because Melody valued herself more. Men find that attractive, right? Not to say Melody's doing it for Martell's, approval. No. Arionne thought that by her being loyal to Martell and her, doing whatever he asked her to do and insulting Melody and things like that, he would desire her more. Guess what? Melody can fuck 3, 4, 5, 6 men, and Martell would still want her more than Arionne, because Melody values herself. And if you don't value yourself, other people can't see the value in you. That is Neptune in the 5th or Neptune in the 7th house. If you don't value yourself, other people will not see the value in you. Arionne deceived herself into thinking that she was looking out for herself by having sex with a married man and doing what she wanted to do, regardless of the consequences to other people. No, that was a misunderstanding, a miscalculation on her part. If Arionne truly loved herself and was truly looking out for herself, she would not be a single mother to a man who wouldn't even claim her. Martell slept with this woman for 7 years and could not even claim her publicly. He downgraded her from a girlfriend when he was married to being my homie when he's divorced, after years and years of using her body. Arionne sacrificed herself for Martell, right? And she thought that by doing so, Martell would love her more, because that's what he was complaining about, right? Melody not submitting to him and so on and so forth. Martell wants Melody's submission because Melody's submission is very valuable. Why is Melody's submission more valuable than Arionne's submission? Because Melody's submission would come from a woman who values herself. So if a woman like Melody is submitting to a man like Martell, that makes Martell more powerful. It makes Martell feel more valuable within himself, because someone of value is giving him enough value to submit to him and let him do whatever he wants. If Arionne submits to Martell, it is not worth as much, because Arionne will do whatever Martell says anyway, because she doesn't value herself. So he doesn't really value her sacrifice, because she would do it regardless, and she doesn't see her worth. So she let him do whatever he wants. So it's like somebody giving you something that they don't value, right? Melody, for example, and I'm not saying this literally, to use an analogy, Melody is like a luxury bag, right? Worth thousands of dollars. And if she gave Martell this luxury bag, Martell would value it more than Arionne being like a dirty backpack that's worth like $25, and it has like food in the bag and papers and junk and crap. The bag isn't valuable. So if you give the bag to the person, why would they value the bag if you don't value it yourself? So that's the lesson of Neptune. If you do not value yourself, then the person that you're giving yourself up for, that you're sacrificing yourself for, won't value you either. That is a very painful lesson. It is horrible. This is one of the most excruciating lessons. Like, yo, I gave this man everything. I gave him my whole life. I gave him my body. I gave him my time, my trust, my energy, my love. And he don't even want to claim me. He acts like I don't exist. But the person who does this has no one to blame for them but themselves. Why would you give all of yourself to somebody anyway, even if they ask for it? Why wouldn't you value yourself enough to the point where you would say, yo, you're asking for a bit too much now. Like, I get, we are here to help each other out and I love you and everything else, but you're asking me to do things that are disrespectful to my integrity and my character. That is disrespectful to my boundaries. And that is what Melody was showing to Martell. You're asking me to do something that is against my desires, that is against my value system. Arionne was cool with it, right? And Arionne thought she was winning because Martell was playing along. Yeah, I want Melody to submit just like Arionne. But guess what? Arionne submitted herself into irrelevancy. Now he sees no value in her because she has no value in herself. Meanwhile, Melody making money, being independent, starting her own platforms, doing her own thing, showing Martell the value that he lost. Now he wants that back. As a narcissist, because Melody, again, is a great source of supply. Arionne's supply is dry now. It's not worth anything because it doesn't come with any conditions. There's no value in it. And I don't want to keep repeating myself, but if you don't love yourself, like, the dude ain't going to fuck with you like that. He's not. He's going to let you play yourself so that he can get whatever supply, energy, essence from you that he wants. And then he'll act like you don't even exist, or he'll downplay the role you've played in your life. Meanwhile, a woman like Melody, she ain't got to do half the shit that Arionne did. Melody, again, could have multiple dicks in her mouth on camera, and Martell would still want to be with her because Melody loves and values herself. Arionne thinks that by being loyal to Martell sexually, it means that she's worth something. No, that don't mean that. I'm sorry, but from my experience, when a man really loves a woman, infidelity means nothing to him. It's a problem. It matters, but he can look past that if he really loves a woman, right? Arionne thinks that by her only seeing Martell for the past 7 years, it means that they're kind of together. She wants him to treat her the way that she's treated him. And she says this in her Instagram post several times. I'm always doing for others more than they're doing for me. So she's basically expecting things from Martell based on how she's treating him. Arionne is not going to tell Martell what she wants because she doesn't feel like she deserves it anyway. So it'll always be, yeah, we never really wanted to be married anyway. I didn't want to be with him anyway. Yeah, she kept saying that, but her actions didn't meet her words. She was complaining about Martell before she had a baby. Multiple abortions by somebody who's married and don't even want to claim you now. Now you're a social pariah, and this man is still on TV, now filming with his ex-wife, who he's still in love with, who you will never measure up against, no matter what you do. And I talked about this when I discussed preferences, but I'm not going to discuss that now. I feel bad for Arionne. A few months ago, I stated on my channel, I will only feel bad for Arionne once she realizes what she's done, because the revelations of Neptune are excruciating. I keep saying that word. It is horrible. you feel like you want to die because you really betrayed yourself with Neptune. It's like you can't blame nobody else for yourself in this situation. You know? And so I'm going to leave it there for now. I look forward to reading you guys' feedback. I'm going to post this commentary to the forum as well, and you guys can ask questions or follow-up questions. I'll include a summary of this analysis in the as far as the body of the forum post, and you guys again can respond, reply, whatever you want to do. Read it, I don't care. But I would love for you guys to sign up for the forum to show support to the platform, and again to grow the community so that we could have a more engaging environment for learning and for just sharing our experiences and healing with each other, you know? Anyway, I look forward to reading your comments. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will speak to you soon.